am Lequita Brooks, your social impact speaker and strategist. Welcome to Social Impact Sundays at 6, where we have massive social impact that leads to massive income. And today we have Kellee. She is a sabbatical social worker, and she's going to talk about all the things when it comes to that. Like in the world of social work, you can become a little burnout, or you need to reset, rest, refocus, reignite, all the things. So welcome, Kellee.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes,
Excited to
I'm
be here.
excited. Yes. So tell me, we're going to start from the beginning. What initially inspired you to become a social worker?
Not not knowing what else to do, actually. So and it, I'm one of those kids who did not have a career dream, right? And I didn't have one in high school either. So I went to college. My family had decided, because I like to argue a little bit or run to people's defense, that I would be a lawyer. So I went to college with this idea that I would major in history and that I would become a lawyer. My first year there, I was invited to this internship program and I learned about human resources. And I was like, oh, right, okay, like this is a way I can figure out this is a path I can use to help people find balance between work and life, right? Have a happy work life. And so the internship program didn't work out, but when I realized for sure that me being a lawyer was not an option, I actually did pursue a master's degree in human resources. And that was not a good fit, but it was there that I met a really good friend, and everybody that I interviewed was just like, maybe you should try social work. And it was because, again, I had this idea that I would find a way to help people find this balance between work and life, and just, let's be happy, let's have high job satisfaction. And I wanted to do it from the individual perspective, and not from the employer's perspective. So I ended up getting a social work, getting my master's, with this hope of helping people find balance between work and life, or just life in general.
Happiness. Oh my goodness. Like, are you serious? You really think people should be happy at work? Okay, so yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so being happy and having work-life balance. And we're going to talk a little bit more about your experience and different things you've done in social work and which led you to now being on sabbatical. So tell us about your background since becoming a social worker.
Right. So I started the master's program with social work, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work either. But I graduated, I completed my degree, and I took me a while to find a job. I got my first job working in community mental health as a therapist, and they did not pay me enough to move out of my mom's house. So I ended up living it with my mom for a little while longer. Definitely not not happy. And but it was a therapist, and I feel like as a social worker we're often thrown into things. So I was doing this therapy work, and I was working with clients, and I was helping them, and some of them were earning more than me. um but I was also helping them find balance or figure out what was working in their life, and was really just really down in my own life. And I had learned about self-care, and I learned about burnout as a social work student. I just wasn't recognizing the signs. What I decided to do, well, I said this: when you are burnt out, one of the first things they tell you is to start looking for a new job, right? Like if the work environment isn't working for you, maybe you should find a new job. So I did find a new job, and it paid me twice as much. I went to work as a case manager at the VA. And that was also really stressful, very overwhelming, and they were paying me twice as much, and I felt like they owed me more. um, so so again, but in that process too, working at there, I learned more about self-care, more about burnout. And again, instead of applying it to myself, applying and compassion fatigue and vicarious trauma. So I'm learning about these things, where it's like all these negative beliefs, all this extra stress at work can weigh you down, stress you out, cause more severe mental health problems or emotional health problems. So I'm learning more about them. I'm experiencing all these symptoms. And what I'm doing with the information that I get is turning it around and giving it to the kids that new social workers that I'm supervising. And so I'm really implementing and really encouraging them to like practice self-care, avoid burnout, do these things. And then like 8.5 years in, I'm like, I am in a happier place, but this just still isn't working, and I'm still super stressed. So I leave and I build a private practice. That also left me stressed and just left me feeling very overwhelmed. And I'm like, again, though, taking everything that I'm learning and I'm giving it to people. And so I'm teaching people how to have a healthier self relationship, how to practice self-compassion, how to be more self-accepting, how to stop blaming themselves. And I'm not really being aware of how I'm blaming myself, how I'm not being compassionate to me, how I'm not accepting my truth and my like who I am. And I end up in a doctoral program, and there's a whole lot of racial tension and just like gender stuff and all this multicultural stuff. And eventually it just crashed with that. So I just kind of am just super overwhelmed. I recognize that I'm burnt out. It's 2020, COVID's happening. So I can't quit my job. I keep my practice going, but I'm cutting it down, and I'm constantly cutting it down with the hopes of closing eventually. And then last year I was like, you know what? I'm the most important thing in my life. I am first. I need to be first. And so I closed my practice, and initially I was going to try to find a new job right away. But then in January, I was like, no, because this to-do list is again getting too long. And I'm trying too hard to figure out how to help everybody else, or how to show up or be who people are expecting me to be. When really what I need is a whole lot of rest and time to finish off this dissertation that I started, and time to really figure out who I am, because that's something else that started to happen. I started to get glimpses of a Kellee that wasn't stressed, of a Kellee who came from this loved, secured place and like really saw things very differently, or saw herself very differently. And I'm in a class doing this thing for me. Like I'm taking information now about attachment theory, and I'm not thinking, how can I give this to a client, but like, how can I understand how attachment theory applies to Kellee, and just like, how is this affecting my relationship? So that's how I got here. I'm not sure if that was succinct or not, but that is where I am right now. I am really taking time to just rest, cultivate joy, and learn who Kellee is from this loved and secured place.
And you know what's so interesting to me, Kellee, and I think that a lot of therapists are going to be able to relate to this. The fact that we give the most amazing advice to our clients. We have all these strategies and tools, and we're like, they're cheerleaders.
Yes.
It sounded like it took you to the point of crashing and burning. That was deep. You had to crash and burn and finally just be like, okay, I make more money. I'm still feeling burned out. Oh my God, I got to thrive in practice. I'm still burned out. Oh my goodness, I'm getting my dissertation. I'm still burnt out, and I'm dealing with racial tensions and stuff related to culture and gender, and it was just like, okay. But I would say the good thing about all of this was that in the mix of it, even though you weren't applying it to your life, you were still aware, because it was like internally you're like, that feeling, it's like, I'm still feeling this little twinge, like it's just something ain't right. I don't know what it is.
Yes, definitely. I think, and I think I'm reading this book right now, The Diet Trap, because I am also working on weight loss, and they call it like the fix me syndrome. And I think what kept me aware is because even though it wasn't the negative self-blaming that we do, like it wasn't calling myself names, there was this obsession with like fixing myself, right? Like, okay, like I just need to be more productive. Like, I just need to be more social. I just need to be all these things. And I'm just constantly like, trying to fix things. And so constantly aware that there's something not happening here. And then also watching my clients and being a little jealous sometimes as I see them applying like mindfulness to their lives, or they're applying self-compassion and they're developing routines and they're getting healthier and they're meeting their goals. And it's like, I am giving great advice and I'm not teaching them to fix themselves. I'm teaching them to be understanding, to be compassionate, to pause. And so eventually, and the thing is, at some point in 2021 with my spiritual director, we realized like this is burnout. Like you're exhausted, right? Like I take a vacation and all I can do is sleep. I go on I'm supposed to be at a conference and I don't attend because all I can do is sleep. Cognitively, I could not string sentences together. Right? I'm like, oh, I'm not processing as quickly. Things are not working when it's time for me to show up for me. And it was really, I am extremely grateful that in this process, I was still very able somehow to show up for clients, and to be present with them and to like be able to really separate what was happening in my personal life from what was happening with my clients. I'm happy. I'm grateful for that. I'm not sure if it's really. I do think though that it probably contributed um to the challenges. So yeah. So being really aware. So I was aware of this issue, um, just from this lens of being really, um, like constantly trying to fix myself or develop like into who I thought I needed to be. Um, up until I hit this place where I realized that I really just wanted to be me, not who people perceive me to be. Like I was really tired of trying to meet everybody's expectations and still feeling like I was failing. And not being able to achieve my own goals or even figure out what my own goals were. So that was a breaking like a breaking point. So then it just became more like last year was really a lot more about how can I get to know Kellee better? How can I be kinder to Kellee? How can I be more aware? So there was a lot of journaling involved in that process, more time with my spiritual director. Actually, I also did a year of therapy to kind of help set this up, taking the time to step to really officially say like I need to close my practice and I need to make time for me, and whatever that looks like, and also needing to be flexible with the idea that what I thought I knew about me probably wasn't true, because I only knew a stress to me. um so yeah, so now I'm in this much clearer place. We're not at the point, I won't say like happier, but it's definitely healthier and there's more progression. Every day I'm like really amazed with what I'm discovering about myself. Um and I'm really happy about this sabbatical, like about taking the sabbatical, and I've been reading more, and there's a whole movement about rest as resistance, and the disparities in like rest and like in our ability to just stop and make time for ourselves, um that I hope to like cultivate more knowledge around by the end of this year and be able to really share more with people and really more push that, because rest isn't a luxury. It's not like a weakness. It's not being lazy. I'm not being selfish in doing this. Like this is the greatest gift of love I can offer myself. Um, like even God took a rest, and I am nowhere near as powerful as He is, or as in control, or just with all those responsibilities. So it's really important to realize that rest is super important. And I think it's even more important because we have so many employers right now telling us that we need to work harder, that they need bigger profits, like that, that there's so many people telling us that what they need is so much more important than what we need. And I think like through rest, we learned that what we need is just as important, right? Like, and that we have to be our own priority. So rest is, I'm realizing that is really vital to our mental health, to our emotional health. Um, and everybody I know can't do a sabbatical, but we can take breaks. We can practice, and we can value rest. We can look at rest and say, I welcome you. I welcome this opportunity to engage in self-care, to slow down and take care of me.
And I want to tell you, Kellee, you are enough.
Thank you. Think, yeah. I think we need to hear that more too. Just running up to people and saying, like, you are enough, like, for sure. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And clearly, you're more than enough because you've been able to prepare yourself and position yourself to take a sabbatical. So I know, like you mentioned, everybody might not be able to, but what were some of those practical things that you did in your life to be able to position and prepare yourself for this sabbatical?
Yeah. So one, there was planning, um, taking steps to really to plan for it first, in closing, figuring out how to close my practice, how to take care of clients, and whether you're in a private practice or you're at work, or you work for an organization, you know, taking time to plan is super important, and really figuring out what you need to do the sabbatical successfully. How much money do you need to take care of yourself? How long of a break are you wanting to take? Right now, I'm starting off just like 6 months, maybe 9, ideally a year. But you may only do a month, or maybe you're going to do 3 months. How much money do you need to survive 3 months? Add 2 more months to that, right? To make sure you have enough. And then we want to plan, like, we want to plan, be flexible in our planning, but we want to plan our comeback as well. Like, at the end of the sabbatical, what are you hoping to get out of it? Because the sabbatical isn't just stopping to do nothing, right? Like, in this time, I am finishing some of the stuff I started, right? Finishing off my dissertation. I am also cultivating and developing some things that I've been dreaming about for a while, that I think will bring me more joy, right? Working on developing like a podcast related to my dissertation. But I also am really focused on things that are going to help me in my spiritual life right now. So I'm taking some classes related to that. And they're not like homework classes. They're just like, Zoom meetings with other people in my spiritual community. That's my priority. Like, that's the thing, is like getting my spiritual life and my relationship with Kellee, that's what I to the healthiest place I can, through this place. So what are your goals? What are you wanting to use the sabbatical for? So that's important. So we want to identify that. And then we want to figure out, what are my resources for funding it, right? Do I have enough in my savings account? Does my job offer sabbaticals? Are there grants or other funding opportunities I can use for this? Or do I need to get a side hustle? My sister did a month sabbatical, sort of like she did a month retreat, and she drove extra for like Uber and Lyft, to save for that. So we want to really plan the financial part. We want to plan what we're doing during our sabbatical. We want to lay that out and figure out what our goals are for it. And we also want to plan our comeback. How soon do I start looking for a job if I need to? Or when do I tell my boss I'm coming back, and how do I prepare myself for that comeback? So I think those are like the basic steps I would take for planning it.
Some really great tips. So sabbatical doesn't mean I'm just Netflixing and chilling like every day, like for the next 6 to 9 months. No, it's like it's still purposeful, it's intentional. Whether that's personal development, career development, business development, there's still a growth promoting process. And even if it's as simple as some rest, and awareness of self and who am I? What do I love? What do I really want to do? What does happiness look like? Oh my God, what would work life look like? Or what would work life balance look like? Because, we don't necessarily talk about those things. I think even, I frequently hear, hey, Lequita, you have to make money. And it's like, yes, I understand that, but I also want to make money doing the stuff that I love. It's a lot
Yeah.
of things that we all can do as social workers and therapists. Like, it's tons that we could do.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that we want to do that to make money. I mean, we have to live, yeah, but it's like, woosah. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, 100%. So 100%. You summed that up beautifully. Yes. There are so many things we can do. That doesn't mean we need to do them all. And just because we're good at them doesn't mean we need to do them. We definitely want to start choosing things that align with who we are, with our values. I think that's so important, and with who we want to be, for sure.
And any other thoughts you want to share, or is there something that you might want to share to the Kellee, the version of Kellee that's listening to you right now, that you started working at the government, so now you're making double the amount of money, so money wasn't the issue anymore, yet you were still finding yourself burnout, you were still finding yourself stressed, you still wasn't necessarily happy, and you still didn't have the work-life balance. So what would you say to that therapist or social worker or clinician who's that version of Kellee, who made the money at the VA with really good benefits and employee match and PTO and all federal holidays off, but yet it was still something that was missing? What would you say to that, Kellee, to help them?
What I would say is, first and foremost, trust yourself, right? Trust that you know what's best for you. Second, don't worry about fitting in. When you are looking for work and you're looking for relationships, places of worship, look for places that align with your values. Look for places that celebrate what you celebrate and will celebrate you. And then the last thing that I think is really most important, and it goes back to the things that you were talking about, like when we're talking about happiness, we're talking about success, it's super important to clarify what those things mean to you, because we can get so caught up in chasing happiness and chasing success and miss that we already have achieved it, and miss that opportunity to really celebrate and enjoy it because we're chasing something that we think is missing and it's been there all along. And it's all because we haven't defined it for ourselves. We've let somebody else. So that would be it. Trust yourself, define happiness and success for yourself, and then just really search for places that align with your values.
Yes, Kellee. Amazing, amazing gems from the amazing Sabbatical Social Worker, Kellee herself.
Thank you so much. And you, I mean, you've given a lot of wisdom in this in this conversation as well. And you're doing some amazing work here, providing a platform for social workers to talk and to learn about valuing themselves in this hectic marketplace.
And it is hectic. And I just thank you again so much, Kellee, for joining me. All right. Well, I am Lequita Brooks, your social impact speaker and strategist. Thank you for joining us on Social Impact Sundays at 6, where we have massive social impact that leads to massive income. And make sure you go to thesocialworkmovement.com to get involved. Go to thesocialworkmovement.com to get involved. Until next time, have an amazing day.